Welcome back. Today we have Coach Fidel with
Super
us
excited.
today. And we're gonna be pontificating upon some of the differences in our generations and how our outlooks on the world may be a little bit deferred. So my
Yeah.
first question is what do you think is the most major difference between our two generations?
Man, I think it's accessibility. Like you guys are such immediate gratification
Mm,
that you're used to like everything at your fingertips. You know what I'm saying? Which isn't a bad thing. Like everybody's like, "Oh, these kids." Like it's not a bad thing. But like just having Google and your network is so much bigger, which kind of broadens your outlook on life. You know what I'm saying? Like
mm-hmm.
um if you take like the past years, right? So my generation, we had Rodney King, right? And we were solely, it was the media driven, like told us what to see. And like we reacted to the media. Where, with Ferguson, Missouri, like everybody already knew. So like a lot of this stuff that's been going on, like we only have little glimpses in my generation. You
Yeah.
guys have access to it all the time. And that's like everything, like politics, and it drives everything like politics. Like Donald Trump could have never been president in my generation because there wasn't like that social media where like he couldn't manipulate it as much. We were relying on certain sources, and you guys have an abundance of information that we
Mm.
didn't, which is kind of cool, which makes you a lot of like know-it-all smartasses.
So do
But
you feel
then
like our
again,
sources are worse or better than yours? Do you feel like your sources were like more genuine?
man, it's see, it's like so the disclaimer is like I spend a lot of time with kids, like being a high school teacher. So like I relate, but like from the outside looking out, I say yeah, because you guys have more connections. Um, ours from our standpoint appear more genuine.
Hmm.
Now, how do you? Now, what about you? Like, do
I'm
you
not
think
sure.
your connections are genuine?
I think that we have access to more genuine sources, but like
Yeah,
we have an abundance of sources, so we have to try to pick and choose what we find genuine. You
yeah,
guys kind of just had like take it or leave it kind of thing. I feel
right,
like either way, more sources would be like practically better,
yeah,
but it's like
yeah,
hard to distinguish like what information is like actually reliable and what's not. So I guess
yeah,
that's like the main issue with social media.
yeah. So you said sources. I thought you said socials. So I was like, oh, social interactions. But yeah, your sources are way better than ours. We're totally relying on mainstream. Like I didn't know, like you had to like go out and seek it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, and if you're not having those like discussions and you're not open to like the diversity of like the community of like the world, then you're not getting it. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a community like where I knew a bunch of different people and my parents were like pretty open talking. But then when I went to college, I met hell people whose like only source was the media. Not it was all pretty kind of cool. You had relationships with people from all around. Then I went to college and I was like, oh shit, like these people are tripping. Like they grew up in these little towns. So now that you've gone to college and you've left Shaker, are you seeing like um different perspectives, or would you say since you guys have access to the same source and same media, that generally people, even though they're from closed-minded communities, are more open-minded?
Um, Definitely not. People are still very much closed minded because like the media can only show you so much,
Yeah,
and you have to like want to believe what the media is telling you. A lot of people would just see it as like the victimization of like marginalized groups or things of that nature, and just take it with a grain of salt. And also, some
yeah,
people just like are willfully ignorant to like those kind of issues because it kind of somewhat portrays them or makes them feel less validated in their own like perception of their own power.
yeah,
So I feel like with that, a lot of people are still closed minded. Like as like diverse as Ohio State is said to be, like it's very much like self segregated in a way.
yeah.
Like
That's
the
everywhere though.
yeah, but I expected like a little bit different because Shaker was a little bit better with that because it was like 50-50, but we're only like 7% here, so
Yeah,
I we don't really have them interaction, and we're kind of like a really
right.
small group, so it's kind of hard to like pick and choose
Yeah,
what
that's
people do.
crazy. Dude, my it carries over to adulthood though. Go to next if you ever well it's too late now, you're out of school. But if you go to staff meetings, it blew my mind. I was tripping like my first year teaching. The staff meetings are self-segregated.
Mm.
We're in the cafeteria and you'll look and it'll be like all the black teachers on one side, all the white teachers on the other. You know what I'm saying? Like it was weird. I was like, it's crazy. And it's everywhere. Like go to any staff meeting. I used to always cross over. See, but I'm an asshole. So I always like pointed it out. I'm like, damn, there's a white side and a black side. Like, and everybody's makes everybody feel kind of awkward and shit. But
I mean, I
whatever.
guess that's the right thing to do, really.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? You gotta, you know.
Um,
But
but
I can do that. That's part of white privilege right there. By the way, I can do shit like that.
yeah, because you have the power to just say something like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I guess so. And what was I about to say? I might go to some Shaker PTO meetings because they've been
yeah,
reaching out to me about like student group on race relation, and I guess
yeah,
that's like even more important for like the
yeah,
organizers of the whole organization
yeah,
to like see what they're thinking.
yeah. But like, that's if you're there and they call a staff meeting, they're like, "Oh, staff meeting in the cafeteria after school. Just pop in and see like who's sitting with who. Like, it'll be weird, but
Hmm.
you know, I'd like to know because maybe it's just our staff.
I doubt it. I doubt it. So in speaking about uh like how we're segregated, how do you think that like social media has impacted like our generation, like my generation? Because you didn't grow up with like social medias.
Nah, man, I was thinking about this today when you were like, "We're gonna do it." Um, I think it's weird. It's like the same but different. Like I was thinking about it, like, um, if you listen to like '90s, like if you listen to like rap from the '90s, and you listen to like Tupac and like Ice Cube, and they were talking about a lot of social injustices going on. You know what I'm saying? And that was like our thing. That was like our window. That was our social media. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
they still hold true today, which is weird to me because I'm like, damn. But now you get it on Twitter. So now, um, instead of Ice Cube hearing a song like, "Hey, fuck the police, this is what it's all about." Can I swear to? I don't know. That was a
Yeah, you
quote.
can.
All right. But instead of Ice Cube and NWA singing a song about it, it's actually a video of, so that it's like a front row seat.
Yeah, it's
You
like
know what I'm
what's
saying?
actually happening.
Yeah. So you're like, oh, we don't have to say that. We could see it. And now, so my generation, now I could look at it and be like, oh, that's what Cube was talking about. Like, I knew it was real, but I'm thinking like that's just LA thing. But now you see it actually happening.
Hmm.
And I think I think social media drives you guys to more action. So like we might have the same knowledge, but I think you guys, your generation are more doers. If that makes
You
sense.
think
You guys
so?
are like different. Yeah, because you're not doing much, but you're doing a lot at the same time.
I
Like,
feel like it's part of like, cause like now it's cool to be like an ally for like social events and stuff like that. So like
right,
people are going to be more driven to do that because it makes them feel more like morally correct, like they're doing the right
right,
thing.
right.
Whereas like I feel like back then it was more like unless you like saw it impact someone close to you, you're probably not gonna have the open mindedness enough to really care
Right.
about it and like view it as like a single story rather than something that happens like systemically.
Yeah. But like Instagram ally is real different. Like,
Yeah.
what I'm saying? There's a lot of people like, oh, I'm out here. And you'll be like, yeah, but you're not really doing anything. You're gonna go right back. Like, and I think your generation changed as far as like, I don't know, not needing allies. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like, oh, we could get this out here to the mainstream without you. We don't need to like whitewash our cause. Like we could do whatever. Um, yeah, because we'll appropriate anything. Appropriate the struggle for Instagram. Like, hey, look, the cops are like, man, shut up. You know, but
It do be like that. Do you feel
it
like
be
our
like
social
that.
skills have like gotten worse at all due to social media?
Man, I don't know. So, um, the outside looking in, you want to say, yeah, right? But when you socially interact with people in your generation, like they're on point. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm not the most professional in my everyday social interactions, but I can turn it on professionally. And I think you guys have the same. Like, uh, nah, man, I think that's overrated. I think the whole like how social media dumbed down you guys socially and like less genuine, all that stuff. I think that's overhyped.
Hmm.
You know, I think you guys still have decent interactions because you guys have conversations. Um, I think most kids or young adult have a tight circle, and when you're in that circle, you interact completely. Like you have your group of friends that you interact with differently than like just kind of your social media friends.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So you're able to keep a foot in all kinds of worlds, and then you have a professional interaction, and you understand what that's like. So I don't think so.
Hmm.
I think that's. What do you think?
I'm not sure because like I wasn't allowed to get onto social media till I was like 14, so
Yeah.
I didn't really. I don't feel like my developmental stages. I don't feel like they were heavily impacted, and even after I got it, I didn't really see like the point of it. Like I was just really just I don't know what I was doing up until like the last 2 years, but that's like self promotion. That's like putting myself
Yeah.
out there rather than like using social media for social media.
Right. Do you have
And
like social media friends?
not really. Like everyone I've like actually interacted with on social media,
Yeah.
other than like random people that'll be like, "Oh, can I join a podcast or something?" Like other than those kind of people, then I've seen them in real life and I've
Yeah.
spoken to them. I don't know. I don't think I could like just reach out to like there has to be like a connection. Like I texted people before I came to OSU just to like get a sense of who I was like joining, sort of.
Yeah.
So like I did that, but like I eventually met these people. It wasn't like I'm just
Right.
texting people to just have a relationship solely on the social media platform.
Right. Right.
So I don't know. I feel like you can't really hold relationships that well on social media, or
Yeah.
genuine ones at least.
Now, as you meet people, do you feel like, damn, their social skills suck? Like when you meet with people your same age, are you like, this dude's a fucking idiot?
Well, sometimes actually yes.
And you blame social, like you'd be like, you could tell he's just a social
Um,
media.
I don't know if I blame social media. Like some people, I just coming from like I feel like Shaker or my friend group was like so we're all like very good at we were all like very outspoken and people who actually did stuff. We weren't
Right.
just like people who didn't do anything. But some
Right.
people are just like so infatuated with themselves almost like they never had any like relationships where they had to like coexist with people.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like egotistical in a way and like ignorant to like some easy issues that they can overcome. So in that way, I feel like they are kind of sometimes like slower.
Yeah. So you try to kick it to them, or you just chalk them up like, oh man, forget it. You're a rap. I can't save you.
No, I don't. I don't say I can't save you. It's just like
You know?
it's just something I noticed. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
just look at people differently.
Right. Yeah. Your generation has a different kind of douchebag too. You know. So I think that changed too. Like the
Mm.
bottoms pretty bad.
The bottom is
Cause
bad.
yeah, because you'll have people just living on Instagram
Oh
or
yes,
Snap or
hermits.
whatever, and you'll be like, my dude, like, you pick your head up and look
Get
around,
outside.
like, yeah, and they'll be outside like taking pictures with you, like, oh YOLO, gangster
Hmm.
or whatever, you know, gangster,
I
you
do feel like
know,
people are trying to like share their life more than they're trying to live it sometimes.
right, And then they're trying to sell an image more than like genuine. And that's what I
Mm,
think a lot of social media is, you know.
absolutely. And they get caught up in their own image of themselves, and then
Yeah.
they start to be like, I feel like that's probably why like things like depression and anxiety are so prevalent nowadays,
Mm,
because they get
right.
stuck to the image of themselves, and then once something happens, they react how they think this image of themselves should react, and
Yeah.
they get stuck.
Yeah. Instead of just genuinely being like, man, I'm not that, I don't got to be that guy. I
Right.
can just be me or girl, you know. Yeah. I agree. That's
They
what I
don't
said
think
to my
they're
students. A lot of fake gangsters out there, man. You ain't got to be that gangster. You can just be you, baby. Just be you.
Do you feel like it's easier to be yourself nowadays?
Not, man. I think, yeah, but I think it's really hard to explain. Um, I think it takes a certain kind of confidence to begin with, to like be yourself genuinely. Even then, like you got to be comfortable with yourself um, to do it. I was actually very fortunate to grow up in a household that was like very self-deprecating. Like the house rule was you can't talk about anybody unless you can talk about yourself. You know what I'm saying? So having two older brothers and a dad with a sense of humor, um, and a mom that kept it real. Like if you couldn't take it, you had to keep your mouth shut. And that really wasn't an option because they were coming for you. So for me, confidence wasn't kind of a problem because you can't really hurt like bully me because I had two older brothers that beat the shit out of me and talked about me for most of my life. So, but I think nowadays what it is like your image. You have to be able to like if you're trying to be something you're not, it's hard, right? So when you say, is it easier being yourself? Only if you're comfortable with yourself.
Mm.
Because if you're not comfortable with yourself, I think people see right through you trying to be something you're not. And they're brutal with that shit. Like the cyberbullying's crazy. Like
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Because that's the other thing. Like it works both ways. So like having access is cool. But like you said, like I limited my kids' access like your parents did, like 14, even 15. But I mean, when you give that access to a 12, 13, 14-year old, um, fortunately, like you were said, like I wasn't really into it that much. But there's people that do shade pages and like,
Oh, I've seen them.
make yeah, and
They
they
in
make
Shaker
emotional
Shade.
decisions. They make emotional decisions that last like that affect people. It's like you're mad at somebody, so you'll go right online and be like, oh, and attack that person. So if you're not being genuine, that's the first thing they're gonna come for. It's like they're gonna hit you on social media, like, motherfucker, that ain't you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I seen this dude in real life.
yeah, right. And then you're like, oh, that just kills your soul. So,
Mm. I feel like it's hard for people to find comfort in themselves nowadays
right,
because there's so much. I feel like there's a lot more to take in. Like people see, and it's part of social media because like people present like their best self or their best image of themselves, and some people will like see that and be like, "Oh, that's them. I need to be just as good." And
right,
they're only seeing the good parts of people and like kind of not viewing them as human in a way because like they're
right.
not addressing like how flawed everybody is, and then they expect themselves to be in some like perfect standing, and they present that. Then
Yeah,
they realize they have flaws, and then that's when
yeah,
they have like psychosis.
yeah, right. Because you guys are inundated with like people that claim to have no flaws, like, which is weird. Like all these people on social media influencers are called that for a reason because they're influencing people. I don't know who, but they're
They
influencing enough
influence a
people.
lot.
Right, which is crazy. And you know, it's hard. People don't accept flaws. But you got to, man. I love flaws. I love my flaws. I'm fat bald.
You're
Yeah,
husky, bro. You're not fat.
husky.
You're husky.
Thanks. There we go.
Uh,
I'm gonna go eat dessert now because I'm husky. I'm not fat. I can eat fat foods
you're
now.
welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
do you think that today's youth lacks the drive that you guys have?
Nah, man, I think you guys are way more driven.
In terms of what, like individual drive or like drive to be successful in general?
So I think the drive's the same, but I think you guys are less scared, right? Like you kind of look at it like, man, like I'm seeing way more young entrepreneurs, young when you talk to them, like the ideals are way different. You know, like we were more like, hey, you know, get a job, get good insurance, like this is what, you know, is I think you guys are like, no, I'm trying to reach a billy. Like I want $1 billion. I want $1 million. Like I want to do this. Um, and you guys are more willing to take risks, you know, and risk it for the biscuit. But yeah, I think you guys are more risk takers.
Hmm.
I think we're more influenced by like the generation before us who was influenced by like the depression era. So we're more like, oh, be secure. We want that security blanket. I think you guys are more comfortable with failure, which makes you a little more driven because you're like, oh, you know, which comes back to the access because then you guys have access to all these successful people
Yeah.
that it's like the positive and the negative. So you guys have like millionaires and billionaires on Twitter and Instagram giving out free game, you know, like saying, hey, this is what we do, this is what you do, uh, this how you get it, this is how you keep it. Like, so you're getting that extra education that we didn't get until after college. So you're like going into college knowing like, oh, this is for all bullshit. Like, you know, I'm just here for a piece of paper so I can do my next move. You know, we were all like, oh man, I really need this, you know? So I think that's the
Hmm.
difference.
Hmm.
Now, what do you see? So you're on the front lines. Like,
I am.
do you see a lot of driven young people or do you see a lot of like slackers?
I see a lot of fakers.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like people have like such an idealistic like view of what it takes to get to like to be like highly successful, like millions, billions, and they kind of expect it in like short. I think social media contributes to it too, because like the short gratification aspect, they expect things to come like right away, instead of like having to buckle down and do all the steps that lead up to it.
Yeah.
And I feel like we also like a little bit of gratitude for like the small things, like the small victories we have. So like a lot of people will drop out when they don't get a million views and they just started like 2 months ago. Like
Right.
they expect it really quickly.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
That's,
that's how it drives today.
yeah. I still can't figure out how that leads to money though.
What?
Like that's crazy. Like how do you transfer this to
This right here?
money? Yeah. Like is there a number you hit where you start making bread off this?
There is.
What's that number?
Uh, I can start making money with 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours.
Nice. Know what's your goal?
My
Speaking of
goal?
drive, what's your drive? Yeah, what's your drive?
Um, YouTube's not really my goal. I kind of want to write a book. I want to be a
Yeah.
writer. Yeah, but this is just like a good place to put thoughts out there and like kind of
Yeah.
gain some sort of a following.
Yeah. And to sell your book, I mean, you got to have people know that it's out there.
Indeed.
And you're more like the more followers get you, it's like a double edged sword because more followers get you a better book deal. You write a book and you got, you know, a couple 100,000 followers. All of a sudden they're like, oh shit, this guy's going to sell some books.
Indeed. That's the goal. But I'm okay with like,
Nice.
I'm still okay with like going through college and entering like the regular business scene.
Yeah. But
I
like,
just feel
what's your
like
major?
marketing.
All right. All right. You still, man, you put a little degree behind the, you know, name. It helps with books too. They'll be like, oh,
They'll be like, oh, accomplished fella.
yeah. Do you keep a journal? Are you writing now?
Um, a journal of what?
Just in general, like, do you get like book ideas and like, oh shit,
Oh yeah,
boom,
I
boom,
put
boom,
like
boom.
all my thoughts into a book before I like make videos, like all the ideas I
Nice. I'll buy the book. When's it coming out? How long you got?
have. I say probably it's probably gonna come out like mid next year.
Nice.
Mid next year
Uh,
probably.
See, that's the difference. See, I wanted to write a book at one point. I was like, oh, I could totally write a book, like a movie or something.
Hmm.
But I was a faker. I really didn't want to do it. That's the difference between our generations. You're out there grinding.
I suppose.
Way to go.
I suppose. If you were my age, what would you be doing?
Man, I don't know. That's so hard, dude. Um, it's a Friday night, so I'd probably be out for sure. No. Um, I don't know, man. I really don't know if I would go to college. Like I really do. So here's the problem. Um, totally love my job, right? Because I love like the people I met and I love working with kids. And it's kind of what I always wanted to do. I just don't know if I'd do it the same way. I don't know if I would really, I don't know.
Hmm.
I might be in the military, man.
What
Yeah, I might be
what
in the
part?
I might have just done one, whatever, and to get my GI Bill so I could get free school. So
Mm,
wait, if I was your age, so the question is, if I was your age right now, what would I
mm.
be doing? No, I'd be like what you're doing. I'd be in college, man. I'd probably have a podcast. It probably wouldn't be any good.
It would probably be funny.
I'd just be, yeah, I'd just drop videos. I'd be trying to be. No, I don't even think I'd do that. I wouldn't have the balls. I think I would just go to college, be a teacher, and do the same thing. You know,
Valid.
maybe have a bunch of kids by a bunch of randos. No, I'm just playing.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, right.
Go
So
ahead. That.
now I'm gonna flip that question on you. Ready?
Okay.
When you're my age,
Oh.
what are you gonna be doing? I'm 44, by the way.
Mm. Ideally,
Yeah.
I'll have established some form of income.
Okay.
Well, I will have, and hopefully, it's has something to do with like this
Yeah.
kind of stuff I want to do, rather than like regular corporate marketing or some
Yeah.
other corporate job. But
Yeah.
I just probably be on the same path I'm on now. Now,
Yeah.
if I was born like in the same time as you,
Yeah.
I
So
don't
then
know.
we do that.
I feel like I probably wouldn't pursue an interest
Oh,
like this.
yeah. What do you
Uh,
think your major would be? 1997, I graduated. You graduated in 97.
I don't know. My major would probably still be like business marketing,
Yeah.
but like I wouldn't do any philosophy. I feel like
No?
there's no job in that field that's not secure.
Right.
I can see that aspect because there's that's why I didn't major in it myself because like I
Right.
didn't see a direct link to like a job I could just
Right.
have
Right.
while I'm like trying to do whatever I'm doing.
Yeah. It's a
Um,
link to more another link, right? So it's like good if you're going into like law or some other field.
yeah,
It's like a good precursor.
it's really good for law, but I don't know if I wanted to do law,
Yeah.
so
You
I
know,
could.
philosophy was like the first class I took in college. And it was probably my favorite class ever.
Yeah, I'm taking a bunch of courses.
Yeah. University of Dayton, I took it in before they told me not to come back, those sons of bitches. That's right. Anybody at University of Dayton, you heard me.
Any higher up,
Right. Look at me now, Father. They're all priests. Look at me now.
they're all priests.
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
Catholic school, man. I won't make any Catholic priest jokes. Don't worry. I'll keep it PG for your podcast.
all right, alrighty, alrighty, all right. Hmm. Do you feel like the world has become more racially inclusive since like you growing up, or do you feel like it's
Man,
just like a highlighted
hell no.
media thing?
Hell no. Racially inclusive now?
Yeah.
Hell no. Not even close. Nah, I think we were way better.
You think so?
I think our racism when we were growing up was more discreet. You know what I mean? Like it was like you'd like talk to somebody or something and then you'd leave and you'd be like, man, that dude was racist as shit. Like, I mean, he's not dropping N bombs or anything, but you like read between the lines. And then like I'm real fortunate because like it's weird because I was like both sides. I always told people, like Heights was mostly black, right? My school. So I was a minority in school, but like once the bell rang, I was back to like the majority in the community. So I like was able to see both perspectives. Which, by the way, if you ever want to relate to a minority, be the only white dude in the history class when they're talking when they show roots, and you'll be like, "Oh shit!" Like everybody's looking
They
at you,
looking
and I'm
at
like,
you.
"Bro, I'm like, bro, I wasn't like, dude, y'all know me. I wasn't there. Like, I swear, this is an awkward unit. Can we get past this?" But I think, man, I think this is crazy. I think the whole, um, I think like the MAGA movement was that what you call it? Like, what do you even call that? Right?
Well, yeah, I guess I would refer to it as that.
That which is crazy. Um, took that we even call it a movement. That's like took the low key like underground racism and was like, oh man, let's like press this button and really drive this divide and make these people like really say it. And I think now it's just like people are way more comfortable with being overtly racist rather than like kind of saying it, you know. Like the Democrats are like my racist, like back in the day racist are like the Democrats. You know what I'm saying?
They still are, but they won't say it.
Right, they still are. But they use like keywords. You know what I'm saying? It's weird. Um, yeah. Like for example, when I went to college, man, um, there was a kid next door to me who is, I guess you guys would call him like emo now. Like he was like, I don't know if that's offensive, like, like all, but he would go to all like the marches and shit. And he was really about like diversity and working with like the different organizations. He was like a white dude who you'd say, I guess, is an ally at this point. And one day I was in their room because I was cool with his roommate and his, yeah. So the kid across the hall was a black kid that went to St. Ed's, played soccer, was on a scholarship. I talked to him like I was cool with him, if I knew him, whatever. So one day I'm at the neighbor's room and the allies talking about like he's debating with somebody that was like on race and whatever because he just came back from this march and he was like, take so and so. I'm not leaving names, but take so and so across the hall. Like he had it way harder growing up. Like he probably had like no he had no dad and like was talking like the stereotypical like. And I was like, my dude, both his people, his dad's a surgeon. Like he's in a house like he lives in a big ass house in like Westlake or some shit. Like, what are you talking about? But like that's racist. That's like Democrat racism.
Because
It's
they
like,
he's still
oh,
trying to support, but the reason he's supporting is because he thinks that
right,
they need help.
right,
Bad.
right. So like to use your generation's language, like the most woke people a lot of times are the most racist because they'll just make those assumptions. Like they'll see you and assume that like you came from food stamps and shit like that. And you'll be like, oh man, I came from a pretty stable household. You know what I'm saying? Like I was raised right, you know? And it's like, that's the old racism. Now the new MAGA racism is just like, yeah, we just want to be back to how it was where we could be openly racist. So
That
yeah,
is
your
true though,
generation's way more crazy.
because like some people just assume I'm like on athletic scholarships just because I'm here. They're like, oh, what
Yeah,
sport do you play? I had a
right,
friend. I had a friend, and I told them that Ayande went to Harvard. They're like, oh my god, what sport does he play? I was
right,
like, yeah, they always assume it's something like other than
right,
academics that gets us to
right,
wherever we're at.
right, right. It's like automatic, which is racist as shit, right? Like, and I'll even have it. I don't want to. I won't say. I'll even have it with, like people at work. Like, our teachers, like, oh, they just really need. And I'll be like, nah, man, these kids come from like two-parent households. Like y'all just make the assumption that they're like
That they know
coming
that.
from here. Like talk to the kid, like and you'll hear like, yeah, they're
They're trying to
fine.
be saviors.
Yeah, they watch too many movies. I watch too many goddamn movies, man. But yeah, so I think my generation was like, you know, they were racist, but they kind of kept it to themselves. I think now it's just like way more open. I think the racial divide is crazy for y'all.
Hmm.
Like I couldn't believe the what is it, 7% at OSU? That's crazy. And that's the other thing is like you're more aware of like I couldn't tell you the percent at Kent. You know what I'm saying? When I went there, like I couldn't have told you that. I get a lot of people couldn't have I think you guys are more aware of it, which makes it more prominent. Like you can see
Because
systematic
we're looking for
racism.
it,
Right.
or we're like able to spot it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like at Shaker, did you see it?
Um, I saw
Were you
like
aware?
self-segregation, but my group was always like the face of diversity.
Hmm.
So like, I feel like we were good, but I feel like now it's terrible.
Yeah.
I feel like we
Now,
were
do you
like,
think it was self though, or systematic?
mm, probably a little bit of both. Stigmas about the other cause them in themselves to not want to.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Hmm. And people make so many assumptions that it's probably difficult for them to kind of create connections without like being forced to.
Yeah. Well, what kind of classes were you in? Were you IB, AP,
Oh,
honors?
absolutely. I was like the only black kid in my class, but like
Right.
all of us did that. That was like all of us did that. So we had a
Right.
cohort within it, but only because we all decided to do it. But if we all didn't do it, we wouldn't have done it at all. Like
Right.
it would have been a lot easier.
Right. So you had this school district that touts diversity nationally, but then what you're saying is you could go in there and just see, like, oh, when it came to AP classes,
Terrible.
you're what, one or two?
I was like, I think I only had like literally in IB, the only
Yeah.
black males were like me, Ethan, Andrew, Ayande, and that's like probably like at least half of them, if not more.
Right. That's
So
crazy.
we had a very small amount. It
Yeah.
was kind of difficult. But like
Right.
when we were like making our classes, like I told the coordinator, I need to have at least one of them like in my class, or else I'm not gonna do IB. And like so, my junior year, I had Andrew in like almost every class of mine. But my senior year,
Nice.
it was like more so hit or
Right.
miss,
That's a strong flex, though,
I suppose.
right? I mean, no, like you gotta, like that's the difference, right? Generationally, like you're way more aware. Like my generation, we weren't thinking that shit. I don't know it till I look back. So my first year, our Heights was the same way. Like we tout diversity. Um, like I talked about the history class. That's because like my first year I was in honors classes. And so
Mm.
my mom realized like my mom signed me up for honors classes. I don't know why. She should have known better. But she signed me up for honors classes. And it was the same thing. There was like one or two, there was two black kids, right? The after a semester or a year, like I switched out of honors and just went to like regular classes and it was reversed. There's like one or two white kids.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
it's
Like,
the gap.
yeah, but the gap isn't there like by mistake,
Yeah, it was
is
like
it?
that for me. I had to choose to be an honors, and I even got like
Right.
some pushback when I first tried. Cause like
Yeah.
back in like third grade and stuff, I was like in the like I don't know whatever smaller. Like I was always in like a small group trying to like
Yeah.
grasp things that the whole class had already gotten, and it was
Right.
like that to like eighth grade, and then as a joke, because I got like a high score on my map test.
Yeah.
I asked as a joke, oh, I should be like in advanced honors like English and math, and they were like, hmm, we'll see what we can do. And I was like, okay. And I
Right.
ended up, well, I had to talk to my counselor like three times about it. My parents were, of course, like okay with it. They were like, yeah, sure, go ahead, do honors.
Yeah,
But like some teachers were like a little skeptical.
right.
But that kind of put me on the path I'm today. But I feel like if I didn't strive to do that, I would have been in like core my whole high school career.
Yeah,
Like I wouldn't be in the position I'm in today probably.
right,
And the fact that I had to like take that step myself is
right.
crazy.
So now the flip side, same school district, right? Um, my middle son, do we say names? I'm not saying names, but he uh in his grade, he did good on a test, and they put him in honors without asking him.
Mm.
And was that Woodbury? Woodbury. And he was like, dude, he came home like, dude, I don't know why I'm in this class. Like he was self-aware enough to be like, man, I did good on a test, like, right. And I
Mm-hmm.
always said, like, what's funny is I talked to other Shaker parents that I work with, um, who were black. So I was already kind of, and it was like eye-opening because I was like, oh, same test score their kid, they had to go advocate for to get in as you did. Um, but mine did not. I always said, like, I don't know if that's an accident, man.
I
We're
feel like
watching you, Shaker. They're on
yeah.
the list with University
I
of
don't know if they
Dayton.
I don't know if they intend to do that. More so it's just like engraved into
Right.
the system.
Just natural bias.
Yeah.
Now, there we go right there. That's a good question. Is there a difference between bias and racism?
Um
Like it, you know,
I think there's a difference between like discrimination and racism. I feel like
but like,
racism is just like a higher version of it. I feel like it's a systematic part of it that makes it racist.
right. But like the teachers that were kind of discouraged by, like, they were kind of like, I don't know about you going in. Do you think there was bias involved? Like a certain racial bias, but
Oh,
we wouldn't
absolutely.
call them right. But you wouldn't. Would you call them racist, or
I
would
would
you
call
just
it
be like that?
discrimination. I wouldn't
You
call it
would,
like overt racism
right?
because like it's not like they said, "Oh, he's black." I don't think he. They just thought he can't do it. Not I don't know
Right,
if it like clicked in their heads like, "Oh, he's black." Like it was just like a cognitive bias thing.
right,
Like
right. So
I don't think so.
subconsciously, the black thing was subconscious.
Yeah. Well, I hope so.
So yeah, so they get a pass. You give them a pass.
I mean,
Because
even if I
intent
didn't
doesn't
give them
mean
a pass, they still have the power to like. That's the whole thing with racism. Like it's a power thing. Like I can't. I wouldn't be able. Like even if I said something, oh, I think that's racist. Like it would have gotten nowhere.
yeah, yeah. But that's another thing we did. We uh we appropriated victimization. Your this generation, we did good with that. Where you call us, you say racist, and we're like, what, me? That's an insult. We get all worked up. You
People
know,
don't know what to do with themselves.
we don't know what to do.
But I think we have a cancel culture now. I feel like it's like being racist in like a diverse group or a group that has supposed allies, even if the allies aren't necessarily like really indebted to the cause, they're still gonna like do what they need to do in order to shame whoever's racist.
But who got canceled for being racist against black people? Name one person.
Good point. Like canceled, I wouldn't actually canceled is a that's a reach. They got like I don't
Nothing.
know addressed.
And then what?
Well, that's because the school never did that. I had a
Um,
friend who like this kid called my black female friend an N word. Like he didn't say the N word. He said you're an N word. And she told the staff in the school and they didn't they literally just like were like oh whatever until she started crying. Like she had to show so much emotion in order to get like even a little bit of pushback. And he didn't even get like suspended or anything. He was just like I think it was 1 day of in school suspension.
right.
So I feel
So
like we
that's what
still
I'm
don't have the
saying.
repercussions of.
So like you have cancel culture, but you don't. So we talk about like cancel culture. There's not many instances of people being canceled for now. They get canceled for. I mean, for LGBTQ bashing, right? If you come out, that's an issue. Women, right? or
Hmm.
protected group.
Mental health.
Um, mental health, right? All these things. You see what happened to Kanye? I mean, my dude just said the word anti. I'm about to get anti-Semitic, and
No, I think Kyrie's even crazier
Kyrie's way crazier.
because he said interesting. I'm not about to get into that though, but that's
But
it's actually
but
like it's crazy.
but that's like cancel culture, right? So Kyrie got canceled for posting a photo, a screenshot, and commenting that it's interesting to know where you come from. The movie's interesting, but yet Jeff Bezos is streaming the movie.
Right. He's showing it, but
Right,
he's getting mad. They're getting mad at Kyrie for saying interesting.
right. So now you flip it and you
It's
say,
like a
okay,
double edged sword.
you look at all the famous people or anybody with the platform that's said anything or done anything questionable against the black community, and they become president, they become senator, they're not getting canceled. So the whole term cancel culture is a false. Like I don't think there's a cancel culture. I think cancel culture is just a flex of power um, that's always been there. I mean, it's another, like I said, it's an appropriation of victimization.
Mm.
I'm gonna quote that. I'm gonna get that on a T-shirt. That's my new line. What?
Cancel
Like
culture is appropriation of victimization.
just appropriation of victimization is my new slogan.
You should put that on the shirt. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Because can you name anybody
That's a great point.
that's like got canceled for racism? You'll hear about it everything
Um,
else, but not racism. I can't think of any. There might be. I can't.
I know there's definitely like smaller instances of people getting like fired for like workplace like hate speech and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I
in
don't know if
terms
it
of
was
like
against.
major people, like people
Yeah,
who actually have power and use it to like influence how we make our decisions, whenever they go out of line, it's not like canceling.
right,
It's like they just
right,
said this and we kind of just sweep it under the rug.
right. They get in trouble. Sometimes people get in trouble for saying the quiet part out loud, right? Like, yeah, we know our company's racist, but you can't say the N word on social media. We have to fire
Mm-hmm.
you. Right.
Because it maintains their image.
Yeah, but that's not really getting canceled. Like, if I go and there's a video of me like doing some wild shit and Cleveland schools fires me, um, let's say I'm like dropping the N bomb on a group of black kids and I get fired, that's not like cancel culture because I did anything wrong. That's cancel culture because like I won't get fired until I guess let me miss I wouldn't get fired unless it found out that I worked for CMSD, and then it's just protecting their image. They're just saving their ass. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not really concerned with what I did. Because the same thing is if a kid wrote a report saying that I said it, but it wasn't up, like you said, the girl went to him, they didn't give a shit, right? But if it was on video and they were like, oh, what's Shaker School is going to do? Now you're forcing their hand. And that's the only time that it comes into effect with race.
Mm. That's so true. Which is why, like, I feel like Kyrie is being like, they're taking like things to like somewhat like get back at the oppressor and like doubling down on the oppressed individual. And I
Yes.
feel like it's actually
Oh,
like crazy. Like
crazy.
I can understand why people are mad at Kanye cuz like he went through lengths to it like it doesn't sound good what he's
Right.
saying. So like
He
I
went out of his
he
way.
went out of his way to make it sound worse than he could have.
Right.
But Kyrie did nothing and he has to do so much to like he's losing his income because of saying interesting and he has to apologize. And how does one apologize for saying something's interesting?
Right. For posting it. And he already like it's wild. That one is wild.
Mm-hmm.
And what's even crazier is like, and this is the one thing that just an outsider looking in. I don't even know, man. I don't know how to word this without. like the support's not there for Kyrie. It's
Yeah,
starting to be now, but initially everybody was like, "Oh, that's messed up. That's messed up," because they were scared of the power structure because they
yeah,
realized like, "Oh, the power structure is there." You know what I'm saying? Um, and like even the black community wasn't really like
yeah. Me and my
supporting
mom
them.
were talking about that.
It's
How
and
it's not like
right,
a unity any, not like anymore, but like when it comes to this, like nobody's backing Kanye. Nobody's
right,
saying because like and me and my dad were talking like when white people mess up, they'll group together and double down on the not like to attack the
right.
person, but like try
No,
to get them out the situation.
right,
While we are just helping with the attack against this person,
right.
or like
Yeah,
not
you're
doing
just
anything.
yeah, like oh, don't let me in with him.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And we're kind of like, hold up, he didn't say he's not that bad, right? But
yeah,
that's because the power structure's there. Because it's okay, like I know I'm protected. That comes with like white privilege, right? Like I'm protected. I and whether I am or not, whether it's real or not, right? Whether I'm really, I mean, I am privileged, right? Like, but whether you realize you're privileged or not, like you still feel it. Like it still gives you that confidence to like speak up, like, just like how you deal with police. You know what I'm saying? Like
absolutely.
white people talk to police a certain different way because even if it's subconsciously, we have that privilege. Like you can't do that to me because I am who I am. Whereas the black community, like it's a whole different vibe growing up. So it's kind of like, bro, you don't talk to them like that. Like, chill out. You're
Yeah,
gonna
we
get
have
us
to be
all in
taught
trouble.
not to talk a certain way.
Right, right. You're gonna get us all knocked. You're gonna get us all in. Like they're gonna like I'm standing next to you. If you're talking crazy, they're gonna scoop me up too.
Yeah,
And like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the crazy part. And what's
abs-
crazy is the biggest, and I don't want to get canceled, but the biggest example of that is the Jewish community, man. The Jewish community don't mess around. Like they back each other. Like they were once, I don't want to say discriminated against in America,
right.
but Jewish people go to Jewish doctors, Jewish dentists, Jewish grocery
Like what
stores.
the Black Panther Party was trying to achieve.
Right, right, right. But there's too much power in that. So we talked about that before.
Hmm.
Like that gets shut down. But what's crazy is now with the structure it is, I believe that the black community is as strong as it's ever been. You know what I'm saying?
We just
If
don't have a
it
unified group.
right, because you talk about cancel culture now, like truthfully, cancel culture was Dr. King. Like he understood cancel culture. So like everybody's like, oh, they marched and they did this. Like, no, what he realizes like the only time the oppressor has ever stopped being the oppressor is when it no longer financially behooved them. Right. So he understood like, man, like the bus boycott worked because you took away the money. They didn't give a shit. Y'all nobody was riding the bus until
Hmm.
like
They
they
saw it
went
in
and
the
they looked
checks.
at their books. Yeah, and they were like, damn, like the garbage men when he shut down the sanitary, that affected the community. So it has to have an effect. Yeah, I mean, marching for the sake of marching, boycotting, like, changes everything. So,
Hmm.
think about like Nike dropped Kyrie,
That's
right?
crazy too.
Right. So Nike drops Kyrie. Man, what would happen to Nike's bottom line if black people were like, you drop Kyrie, we're
If all of
dropping
them
you.
said I'm out of the partnership too,
I'm out of the partnership too. And all the kids were like, man, I'm not buying Nike no more. We'll
they
start
would have
rocking
to take
close
Kyrie.
to it.
They would have to get him back.
But like now we don't even want you back. Like, no, we're good.
They would be.
You
It
know what
would
I'm
be like a
saying?
shutdown system.
Right. You think about it, the strongest dollar in America right now is the black dollar.
It is. Yeah, we control a
Yeah.
lot of the economy.
Yeah. Because and your trend, it's like trend setting, right?
Yeah, because
And that's
we
those,
like consume more than any other
right,
group.
right. And then you go to social media has increased the culture vultures. So it's like, oh, that's what's hip now. Like, oh, that's what Drake and Jay-Z, that's what they're rocking now. Like I'm trying to be, Lil Durk got this chain or these shirt I'm trying to rock what he rocks, and it's kind of like, I mean, the original influencers, right? So like black culture is cool culture now, kind
Yeah.
of, right?
Well, I feel like it's always been like cool culture, but I feel like now it's like people can accept that it's cool culture.
Yeah,
Where
now it's
before I feel like
mainstream.
they were just doing it and acting like they weren't appropriating. But now
Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, that was cool. I'm gonna do it as well.
yeah, and now it's mainstream, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like every excuse me, now it's mainstream. But like with that comes power, and like if it ever get like if your generation gets up there and like gets it and kind of like, man, somebody just unifies it, it'd be crazy. And I think they're there. I feel like if Jay-Z and LeBron,
We need a
you know,
face.
like I think if Jay-Z and LeBron, and I think LeBron does a lot. Like I think they both do a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they do. Um, I'm really a fan. Like everybody's like, I'm a fan of what LeBron does off the court and what Jay Z and them do off the court. Like Chance the Rapper, or not off the court, off behind the scenes. But I think somebody's got to just like be like the Black Lives Matter movement was cool. Like they got it, but you got to have a face and really like boycott. Like, no, we ain't buying Nike. Like, don't buy Nike. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't buy this brand. This brand, like,
Mm-hmm.
don't go to these shows. Like even just the NBA in general. Like the union's crazy. Like I'd be like, man, what if we just sit out a game? Like they want to sit Kyrie. I'm not playing until Kyrie comes back. If all the superstars said, man, I'm not playing. If all them dudes were like, man, I'm not playing
They're
until you
losing
guys let
so
me
much money.
like LeBron, Steph,
But I feel like
every
LeBron's so like interwoven with the people in power that he can't. It's hard for him to move.
well, you can't. I think he's uncancelable.
LeBron?
Yeah, man.
Well, yeah, because I feel like yeah the
Like,
black
what are they gonna
community,
do?
every community is gonna try to stand with LeBron
You know what I'm saying?
at this
That's what
point.
I'm saying. Like, if LeBron James said, "Hey, man, I'm not playing a game. I'm on strike until Kyrie gets back reinstated." Right? I mean, how many players are following him? It kind of puts like the pressure on you because they're like, "Oh, LeBron's doing that." Now you got to look at it like, "Damn, all right,
He's like a
Steph,
role
you're
model.
up." Yeah, like you're up because LeBron's like the Tom Brady of the NBA. Like Tom Brady could do whatever he wants. Like Chad Ochocinco talks about it a lot. How like the difference is like basketball, they have the power because they got the contract.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's the one sport. If Kyrie was a football player, man, no shot because nobody gives a shit.
Because yeah, they don't care
But
about the individual in football.
right, but basketball would be like if people were willing to sacrifice, man, it worked. And then that set the tone for like outside of basketball, off the court, social justice reforms and such. You know,
Yeah, but it's hard to find a face.
right?
Just someone willing to be the face.
That's
So
gonna be you, right? You got it.
I don't have the power or platform.
Once you get it, though,
Absolutely,
I'm gonna remind you of this conversation.
but it's like, there was a philosophy about that. Like, um, those super low are able to establish like their own values and like have more freedom of self compared to those higher up in power because they have the values set for them. So
Yeah,
like it's easy for me to do that when like my life's not dependent on a certain like appeasing a certain group.
right,
And what like that's trying to establish would like make that easier for like future generations, but someone has to make the sacrifice
right,
of their own like well-being in order to
right. Like
really
it's
get it
easy
together.
now, but when you're a New York Times bestseller and your publisher's like, you better not say nothing, it changes. Not you necessarily, but just in general. That's kind of what you're saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got you.
Be like
Right.
that.
That's good, man. I'll be
All right. It's gonna
right.
be my final question for you.
Right.
Do you think the education system is
Bullshit.
well functioning? Do you think it
Bullshit.
works? Talk to me.
That's a good question, knowing I'm a teacher. I'm about to get fired.
No, you're not. Be
I
careful.
think like it was just a small podcast. I didn't in 20 years, they're gonna be like, look at
They
this
don't know where you
podcast
work
he
at.
did. Yeah.
They
I'm
don't
gonna
know where you
tell
work
them. I ain't scared. I'm out here.
at.
Um, no, I think it's a failure. I think the school systems and I think the education has failed to progress with the technology and everything of the resource and just the I don't know what I'm saying. I'm trying to think of the words. I think our problem is we're stuck into our motto. So the education system that we currently have was built during the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah,
And the idea is it was literally built around the structure of like preparing people to be
the
factory
pipeline.
workers. Right. And it's like, okay, this is a factory. That's why schools look like a factory. They're brick. They're like, and it's like we're going to prepare these people to be workers. I think your generation has, like I said earlier, has flipped that. Like you guys aren't satisfied with being employed. Like you guys want to do things
Then make us feel good
diff-
in ourselves.
right, right. And you see
Private
that, and
interests.
there's way more opportunities. Like you could be successful now without a college education, right? You could be successful. So the whole thing is like high school is bullshit, right? The whole thing is you're getting high school to get to a piece of paper to get to the next level and get access to that. And that's what your education is. And I tell this to my students all the time. Like this isn't something that like is new. I started my year like, look, man, you're not about to use geometry in 90% of the that you're going to do in your life. But what you will use is the tools like to think. So let's look at it from that lens, right? Like, here's a problem, here's some ways to solve it. Let's look at it as from like, instead of looking at it as like we're doing math, let's look at it as like we got to solve these problems. Um, Unfortunately, the problem is that they do a lot of testing and things that like don't acknowledge that. So
Right.
we
They
have to
make it seem
teach
like
like
it's information.
right. So when you're teaching history, you got to teach the information. Like you took how many history classes? How many real conversations were there? Like we had the
It was
conversation the
lecture.
other, yeah, and you're not even scratching the surface. Like, dude, it blew my mind when we were sitting the other day and we were talking and you were like, yeah, they didn't mention the Black Panthers in school, like at all.
I don't think not once.
I was like, man, that's crazy. Like,
But we have like the Malcolm X fist plastered everywhere,
right. But like it's all
but
like,
no one
but
ever
that's
talked
because that
about
might be
Malcolm.
on the test. Like the Black Panthers aren't going to be on the test anymore. Like you're
Never.
not going to see them on the SAT. You're not going to see them on the OSTs. So there's not time to fit it in there. So there's not time to fit a lot of this stuff in there. Writing English can get a little loose, but it's still like structured. But if I mean, shit, how much of what you learned in high school helps you write your book? You know what I'm saying? Like taught you like, oh, this is how you would get published. Like this how, you know,
Nothing.
right, because they can't because it's testing. So it's not really preparing you. It's just like mainstream,
Yeah.
right? And I still say like it's preparing us to be employees, and it's preparing the rich kids to be bosses. And that's the structure of our like it's two different models, right? So I think it's all kind of bullshit. I think college is like crazy. Like the cost of college is wild.
Absolutely.
You're just there for a piece of paper to give you an opportunity, right? And that's all it is. Like education's really just getting certification to get you an opportunity, you know, because nobody knows shit their first day of work anyways.
That's so
Like you
true.
get a
You can
teach
learn anything on the job.
right. The first year teacher don't know shit, man. They're like, huh? Like you gotta tell them, like, nah, like I know that's what they showed you in school, but you're gonna learn your style and your voice along the way. Like, you learn by failing. Like you're gonna learn how to write a book by writing 3 books, right? And just like you're going to write a book, send it to a publisher, it's going to get rejected. then you're going to rewrite it, and it's going to get, and you're just going to learn
Hmm.
by that. Like college ain't helping you with that shit. You know what I'm saying? High school ain't help you with that shit. It's like the school, and then you guys got this, which is like you can learn anything online. You know what I'm saying? Like you could learn more from Google and YouTube and shit. Like I do so
Yeah,
many home repairs just off of YouTube
yeah. I
that like
learned my whole economics class through using YouTube. Like
right,
the lecture didn't teach me what I needed to learn, and I just used YouTube and did
right,
do great.
right. So yeah, so my answer is like the whole education system needs to be revamped. It needs to be student centered more. We need to get rid of testing. It needs to be less about money. It's all about money. Like there's million. It's sickening if you ever look behind the curtain. Um, which is a quote. I had a principal one time that was in a meeting, and they did it. They had the testing, and you know how your school gets a report card.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And they were. She was like, "Hey, how do you guys figure that out?" They were like, "We have a formula." She was like, "What's the formula?" And they were like, "No, it's proprietary. We can't show you the formula. Just think of it like we're Oz behind the curtain. Like you give us the numbers, we'll give you the stuff back." And I was like, "Man, that's crazy. They're making millions and billions out of these testing, So and then those testing companies are paying the congressmen and the state, senators and the governor to keep this board packed with heavy testing. So it's like all bullshit, man. It's a bullshit system. What do you think about it? You're in it. You tell me.
I don't know. I feel like I'm still within it.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for me to see outside of it right now, but I can see like how impractical some of like high school and college is. Like I'm learning a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with like what I'm doing in life. And
Yeah.
I feel like even once I get to those classes, some of that stuff isn't like what I will be doing. Like it's a whole
Yeah.
lot of build up to like your fourth year. Then you actually start getting into what you really are doing,
Right.
and then you get to your job, and then it's like a died down version of what you just learned.
Right. Have you had a cool class yet though, where you're like, man, I might not learn this. Like I might not ever use this, but
Mm.
this could have cool information. Like it's interesting.
Well, I have my philosophy class, but
Yeah,
I'm
that's
using
dope.
that though.
Yeah, but is
So
that
yeah.
dope? Like, are you happy with it?
Well,
Like the
yeah,
instructor, like the how it's ran, like the dialogue.
yeah. He's a young guy. We talk like
Yeah,
in class. Like
yeah, that's
I
cool.
verbally like will contest and stuff, and he'll.
Yeah,
It's like a conversation.
yeah.
It's more
And then
personal.
are you comfortable enough? I think you are, just knowing you. But are you pretty comfortable challenging your professors?
But yeah,
Like you'll in other classes, you'll be like, "Hey, wait, why would you say that? Why do you think like that?" Right?
it depends on the subject. Like I'm not gonna go in math and
Right.
be like, well, if I'm confused, I'll say something for sure.
Right. Right. Right.
But like I feel like philosophy is a subject where I can like you can have your own opinion and still be right, while someone else
Yeah.
has their opinion and they can be right as well. Like I
Yeah.
feel like it's just tailored to the individual. But the rest of my classes are like history, and I can't really. The most I could contest would be like if I already knew like a plethora of information about it.
Right.
So it's kind of difficult.
Well, I used to do the 3-1 model. Like, because I took 4 classes a semester. You guys take like 5 or 7 or what?
I take 7.
That's crazy. But
Well, I'm trying to get all the hours I can because I'm here for free. So I'm trying to just
okay, yeah,
use as
that's
much as
good.
I can.
Yeah, I was doing 4 because I wasn't that confident in myself.
Hmm.
Like I was coming out of school with a 1.8, but crazy.
That's crazy.
But I mean, I did like 3 pointer better in college though, so I'm not that. It was just a slow starter. But I would do 3 and 1. So I take 3 like classes. Like, man, you got to take these classes, and then I take one that fit, but that I was genuinely interested in. So, like for science, there was this class like 7 ideas that shook the universe. That was kind of cool.
Hmm.
For like history, there was a class called like the Black Experience. That was kind of cool. Um, yeah, math. There's no math. There was discrete mathematics, which was cool, like logic. You should take a logic class.
I am, and
Yeah,
ethics,
it's
and
in
yeah,
And because logic is math, right? Is that under the math umbrella?
Um,
At your
there's like specifics, like there's
yeah,
logic and engineering, but like I would take like logic and philosophy, and that would kind of tie
yeah,
to all of them, sort of.
okay,
And I probably have to
yeah,
take I have to take a logic class for my
yeah,
math like requirements.
yeah. Yeah, because that's cool. That's a fun class, like if P then Q type stuff.
Hmm.
You get that. So I'd always try to take like one class. So I mean, for that, college was fun because it really opened me up and like it's a lot of like Jeopardy knowledge, I guess you say, where you're just like that wouldn't never be on Jeopardy, but shit that helps me that I could pull up in the classroom and be like, hey guys, did you know this interesting fact? And like, go from there. But yeah, so I would recommend that, I guess. You know. Now, question real quick.
Hmm.
I know that was the last one. My phone's about to die anyways. But the you coming out of high school and like seeing it, do you have a large number of people that didn't go to college that you know?
Um,
Or don't plan to at all, I shouldn't say, not taking like a gap year or anything. Like they're like, fuck college.
n- um, what would you consider a large number?
I mean, I don't know. I
Like
mean,
I
out of my
probably know like 15 people, but
what
that's because I
period?
didn't know a lot of. Like I'm not
Okay,
keeping up with a lot of people like
okay.
I wasn't
But like
already associated with.
I had a friend group of like 10, and we were like half and half. So out of your 15, how
Mm.
many were like, fuck college?
Out of my 15,
Yeah.
like out of my friend group,
Yeah, 15. You said 15
all
people.
of us went.
All 15 went. Are any of them that you talk to like, man, fuck this shit? I think I'm doing one and done.
Well, there's um there's Mo.
But Mo wants it. Mo's coming to
Yeah,
college.
Mo's coming, but at first he was like,
Yeah,
I don't know. And my friend Giles is like that too. He was like, I don't know if it's what I want to do because he
yeah,
already owns a business, so like he feels like
right,
he could just step it onto the world already.
right,
But he still went to
right.
college just because. Oh no! Man, I hate when my Discord crash, bro. Y'all see what be going on, bro.
You got disconnected. Are you
Yeah,
there?
I did get disconnected.
All right. But he
Um,
went to college. Is he like in college now? Like, oh, I'm staying.
yeah.
Like, do you have it? Like, we had a lot of people do one year and then they were like halfway through, they were like, yeah, college ain't for me. Is anybody like, oh, college ain't for me?
Um, Giles is sort of like that, but he's like trying to find a way to get out of college while in college.
Right. I got you.
So that's probably like the only person though.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if if what I'm doing here takes off to the point where I'm like financially stable, I wouldn't
Right.
mind not going to college at all.
Right. Like, if you get published your second year of college, you could drop out. You'll be like, fuck this, I'm done.
Well, if I
Like,
made money, like if I made a good,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. You're not sticking around.
Or I'd
Yeah.
stay in college, but I would change what I was learning into like just stuff I want to learn.
Right.
So like stuff I feel like would just benefit me in the path I'm going on, rather than like something structured. Like I'd probably leave with like a degree in. I'd probably just switch to philosophy.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
just that. That'd be like the only thing.
Cool.
Thank you, Mr. Fidel.
Thank you, dude. I was pumped to be on. I got to be on.